So Matt, welcome to FrightFest. You're here with Blockhead, a film so good they're screening it twice. How are you feeling?
Really excited. I think the thing that we've been most excited about is showing our film to this audience, and this community is like so passionate and so devoted and so committed to genre, and they're also like really knowledgeable and they're vocal. And so I think that we have a chance to connect the community of filmmakers that came together to tell this story about storytelling with a bunch of people who really understand story and narrative and genre. So I think that's the thing we're really excited about, is to put that understanding, the thing we tried to do, to talk about where inspiration comes from and maybe the darker side of it, in front of a bunch of people who really understand narrative and genre and story. We're really excited to get their thoughts on it.
And this is, previously you'd made a documentary. This is your first fiction film. How did you find, switching from the fact to fiction?
I think that there's a big similarity between a documentary and narrative, and that's that the emotional journey of the character is always something that has to be the absolute focus of the filmmaking team, whichever genre you're in, whichever medium you're in. So the idea that narrative is more created, you have actors and sets and all that stuff, sure, but what you're also attempting to do is you're attempting to try and make people believe something that inherently they know isn't real. So that whole willing suspension of disbelief is something you have to work really hard at. But hopefully we've done an amazing job because of our cast. I think that the actors that we were lucky enough to work with have really done the job of bringing that story to life, and if you don't have the right actors, I think it's really, really difficult. So we hope that that's where the narrative takes people, through the wonderful eyes and charismatic chin of Danny Horn, who is a beautiful thing to behold.
And I think, you have these two characters of you've got Will and you've got, Mikey, who couldn't be more different from one another. How did you go about casting them?
Well, we were lucky enough to know Joe through a filmmaker that I was friends with, and he'd been in a short film that I'd seen called Hungry Joe. His name's Paul Holbrook. We reached out to Paul, and luckily Joe was interested in the script, and I think Paul told him that I wasn't an idiot, so he was okay to have a meeting. He liked the script, and then that meant that we were able to use Joe's attachment to the project to go out to other casts, and that meant that we were working with an amazing casting director, Zita Koenig at ET Casting, and she was able to, I think, get really good responses, which is how we found Danny, which is how we found Michelle Moran, how we found Jake Mavis, how we found a number of our other casts. So yeah, we feel really fortunate to have worked with them, but also with this cast. They're great.
And I think when it came to Danny, he really wanted the role of Will. Was that something that came across through your first meeting?
I'm sorry, say it again, I didn't quite catch it.
When I was talking to Will, it's something that the role of Will is something that Danny really wanted. Was that apparent from your first meeting?
Yeah, he was really keen to show me what he felt his strengths were as an actor, and I guess that can be a tricky thing for actors, like whether they kind of bear themselves to the person and whether that works or whether it helps, I don't know. But he said, look, I think I can give you honesty, and I think I can give you intensity, and that's absolutely his strengths. And so we really wanted someone who felt like he was honest, like Will was an honest person, but that maybe he'd been taken off the straight and narrow, and his moral kind of compass had wavered slightly because of the situation that he was in, the desperation that he had to tell this story. So yeah, he was great at that. He was really, really honed in on the emotional journey, and I think that's why, if the film works in people's eyes, it will be because of his performance.
I guess the final question, for people that aren't at FrightFest, where can they, find news of more screenings and such on social media and things? Where should they be looking?
We're working with the amazing Bluefinch, and they are starting the sales process at Toronto, so this is kind of like the lead off for that, and we hope that there'll be distribution deals in place for a theatrical and a VOD release in the UK in 6 to 9 months' time. So we hope that we can get people's interest back up again, and that sales cycle, and let people know when the film's coming out, because we're really excited for audiences to see it. We think it's something that hopefully speaks to people who are interested in story and creativity.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to let you enjoy your screenings.
Thank you very much.